Well, good morning. It's Friday on a holiday weekend. It's Memorial Day weekend. Getting this started today, we've had a few glitches of our own getting YouTube live up and running. Hopefully our glitches won't be as significant as what Ron DeSantis had to face the other night on Twitter. But Friday is the day that I like to just kind of informally just talk about whatever it is that pops into my head to talk about. And of course, everybody is still talking about the Ron DeSantis presidential launch. And I just got through watching some of the PBD coverage of the launch, and they're basically saying, look, the media's and some conservative pundits are focusing on, the Twitter fail. What they're missing is the big picture, which is this happened on Twitter and millions of people are involved and yada, yada, yada. No. You spin it any way you want. It was a fail. You get one shot at making a first impression. One. And you have a candidate, Ron DeSantis, who is obviously making a play for what we call the college-educated branch of the Republicans. I mean, he really, when you listen to his full statement, when they finally got all the glitches out about 30 minutes in, and he just read this, the beauty of what we do here online in alternative media and like this, I'm not reading anything. We're having a conversation. I'm doing all of the talking, but we are having a conversation. I'm talking to you like we are having a conversation. It's a conversational tone in which we have here. And that's how you do alternative media like this. If you're doing this sit down, he opted not to do a rally. He opted not to be in front of a crowd. He opted not to have his family with him. He opted to do this solo, like a podcast, or I should say a Zoom meeting. Then you do it conversationally. And again, the fact that they did this without any video is just beyond me. We are in the video age. I'm sorry. I'm a radio guy, been in radio since I was a teenager. When I get done with this, I will be producing my 2-hour weekly syndicated oldies radio show. I love radio. But this isn't the years of FDR anymore. And Ron DeSantis trying to launch with a fireside chat doing radio on Twitter. And if you're going to do that, you do it like this. It's a conversation. I don't have a teleprompter I'm reading from. I don't have any notes in front of me. I'm talking to you the American people, that I want you to get to know me, what I stand for, and why I believe I would make you a great president. That's how Ron DeSantis should have done it. Instead, he read, and he got wonky, and he got lost in the weeds and in the woods, and it was gut-wrenchingly awful. You can spin it any way you want, Team DeSantis, and apparently PBD wants to, help give DeSantis a little cover on this. Spin it any way you want, but when you're the guy claiming that you bring something new and fresh, when really you're just repackaging, I call it Trump light. You're the mini-me of Donald Trump. You're trying to be the Donald Trump without the baggage. But you're I'm in charge. Florida works, and everything I did during COVID in Florida, it worked, and we've come out stronger and healthier, and I know how to take America back, and this is going to be the great comeback, and I know how to fix it. And you go on a platform that literally implodes and blows up. The psychological message you are sending to people, whether you realize it or not, is you don't know what you're doing. And again, there are going to be conservative outlets that are going to give DeSantis cover. I mean, Fox News, they walked a funny line with this the other night. On the one hand, Rupert Murdoch and Fox News were a little upset that DeSantis launched on Twitter. They're upset about that because, number one, Rupert Murdoch has been pushing DeSantis to run since 2020. And basically, the green light at Fox News was, we do whatever it takes to promote Ron DeSantis in the best positive light possible. And so the fact that DeSantis chose not to go to Fox News, but to go to Twitter, was problematic on a couple of fronts. Number one, looks like Tucker Carlson is going to go to Twitter. And we all know about what's going on between Fox News and Tucker Carlson. I would warn Tucker, and I said this the other day, after this debacle with Ron DeSantis, kind of the guinea pig floating this, you might want to rethink going to Twitter. If the thing crashed with 500,000 people trying to get on board, Tucker, you were pulling over 3 million people a night on Fox News. Yeah, you might want to think about a stronger platform. I mean, if you want to do your own thing completely and you go Rumble, I still think you ought to grab that Newsmax deal, make Newsmax the #1 cable news network in the last years of the quote unquote golden age of cable news, because it is on the way out, but it's not out yet, and they're not glitchy, they don't crash, and at the same time you could help them launch their online presence and just make it work and make it your own. But that's just me. The other thing that's problematic, it shows you that Ron DeSantis has zero loyalty. Zero loyalty. I was watching Tim Pool's cast last night, and he had a congressman on from a district out of Houston, and black guy. Oh, I'm sorry I didn't grab his name before I went live. He was fantastic, and he really got into how the Democrats have lied to black Americans about what Republicans stand for and that they're the party of racism, et cetera, et cetera. And he was talking about how hopeful he is and how excited he is that people like, rappers like Ice Cube are coming out saying, no more support for Democrats. They've been in charge for like 50 years and they've done jack squat for us. Yes, exactly right. But he was talking about, he's ex-military. He comes from a military family. He was talking about that Donald Trump endorsed him when nobody would give him the time of day. He won his congressional race. He's been reelected 3 times. And he said, I am unashamedly for Donald Trump because I'm loyal. I'm loyal. And he said, we keep forgetting, Ron DeSantis wants to keep talking about, you got to go with a winner, and I'm a winner. He wasn't going to win his first run at governor. He was losing to the mayor of Tallahassee, who turned out to be a crackhead, dope fiend, whoremonger, tore up a hotel room in a drunken, drug fest, end up in jail. And DeSantis almost lost to that guy. He almost lost to that guy. And it was Donald Trump who came and tapped him, and immediately he shot up in the polls and he won Florida. I was on the radio in Florida. We dragged him across the finish line. And the point was, he's not loyal to the guy that brought him. He's not loyal to the guy that launched him. To Rupert Murdoch, hey, guess what? You've done everything you could to create Ron DeSantis as a legitimate presidential contender, and he didn't go with you. He went with Twitter. Ron DeSantis is disloyal. The Trump team has hit DeSantis back on the fact that DeSantis voted when he was in Congress to cut Social Security and Medicare multiple times, that he voted against the border wall, voted against the Trump tax cuts because he wanted a 23% national sales tax. Has he had any idea how financially crippling that would be to the American middle class? Can you imagine every time you went to the store, whether you are buying eggs, whether you are buying a hamburger at McDonald's, trying to buy a car, whatever, 23% tax. None of us like paying taxes, and certainly the income tax code is a disaster. Got it. Understand it. But a 23% national sales tax. Are you kidding me? And so these were the so-called policies. These were the so-called policies of Ron DeSantis. Remember when Trump first got to Washington? I think he really thought after he got elected that, the Republicans would fall in line and be with him, and then he could, focus on the liberals and the swamp. He didn't realize how many in his own party were part of the swamp. He really didn't. And yes, he made some terrible picks for people to work in his administration. But again, you go in kind of not knowing. He didn't know how Washington worked. You and I could sit here and talk about things, but unless we're there, we don't really understand how nasty, swamp-ridden, awful, vile these people are. And so, yeah, there were people that were supposed to be, Republican, that were going to come into his administration and give it legitimacy, and they undermined him the whole time. And he was fighting his own party in Congress for the first year and a half he was there. That included Ron DeSantis. This guy is a disloyal dog, period. I know he talks a lot about his wife. We don't, he doesn't campaign with her, but he talks a lot about her. Yeah, I am going to go there. Mrs. D, you might want to wonder, why is he, content traveling all over the place without you? He's got a habit of being disloyal. Just something for you to think about there, Mrs. D. Oh, I know. You should have said that, but I told you. This is my Friday live, and there's no script here. I'm giving you what I want to talk about, period. And it's unscripted, and there's no big technical trickery going on here. We won't be playing any video clips. There's no graphics. This is just what it is. I'm sitting out in my yard on a holiday weekend. When I get done with this, I have a 2-hour syndicated show to produce, and then I will spend the rest of the weekend doing yard stuff. And so I'm just having a conversation with you and drinking a cup of coffee. I want to talk about something else that DeSantis is trying to do right now, and that's this timid attack on Donald Trump. He won't talk about Trump by name. He went on Newsmax and did an interview with Eric Bolling last night, and basically said, now this is how he's trying to weave this now. I like Donald Trump, and I like a lot of his policies. Well, apparently you've copied them all. I like a lot of his policies, but the American people, this is his theme. They need a winner. I'm a winner. But Donald Trump is a winner. But I'm going to get to that. They need a winner, and he hurt the Republicans, especially in the 2022 midterm elections. He hurt the elections, or you working with people like Mitch McConnell hurt the elections. Bump, ba-dum, bump. What hurt the midterm elections for the Republicans was Mitch McConnell refused to throw any support or finances behind any Trump-endorsed candidates, and there were a lot of them. There was a strategic decision made by Mitch McConnell, the rhinos, those Democrats dressed in Republican drag, like the Mitt Romneys. There was a strategic plan to purposely tank the 2022 midterms and blame it on Trump, blame it on the Trump influence, to tear down the possibility. That was the Republican coup within to try to keep Donald Trump from running. And Ron DeSantis was part of it. Ron DeSantis was part of it. I've told you before, Ron DeSantis is deep state. And I appreciate what he's done in Florida. Has anybody talked about how expensive it is to live in Florida right now? Hey, Gov, all of your so-called, great crony capitalism that you endorse there in Florida, it's not helping the middle-class people. I mean, it's expensive. I lived in Florida. It's expensive to live there now. That's, like Donald Trump said, when it was during the COVID and everybody wanted to move to Florida, and, Ron DeSantis was taking the victory lap, and Donald Trump said, what's not to like about sunshine and beaches? Yeah, you got a lot of liberals that are moving there too. They like the sunshine and beaches. I love the weather of Florida. I love Florida. I loved living there. You can't afford it right now, but DeSantis and the establishment Republicans decided the best way to take out Trump was to make it look like his influence in 2022 is what tanked the elections. It was the fact that they didn't give him any money, they didn't give him any support, they didn't give him any backing. J.D. Vance managed to get his way in there because he's a fighter from Ohio. And that was when Ron DeSantis was at his peak in November. I'm a winner. And again, the deep state let him win. He is the Trojan horse. You look at Florida, you look at the fact that they were free during COVID, and he's taking on the culture war, and he's trying to beat up Mickey Mouse, though Mickey Mouse keeps giving him a right cross and knocking his legs out from under him. That's done on purpose to get the Trump people to think, well, Ron DeSantis is just like Trump, except There's no baggage, there's no drama, there's no controversy, there's no indictments, there's no problems. It's a setup. It's a setup. He has no loyalty. He worked with the rhinos to purposely, they made a strategic plan to lose the Senate. Or I should say not retake it. And they could blame that on Trump going into the election cycle so that they could get their proper establishment rhino nominee. It's no more complicated than that. But something to keep track of, because Ron DeSantis wants to keep saying, I'm a winner, I'm a winner, I'm a winner. Really? Because you peaked here in November. And you have been going down every single month since. Donald Trump was here in November. And he's been going up ever since. What relaunched Donald Trump was not just the fact that his, coming out party looked presidential, looked exciting. Uvalde, Ohio. When he came to Uvalde, Ohio, after the train derailment, and he stood with the people, something that Joe Biden didn't do. And Donald Trump was able to draw the contrast. Listen, Joe Biden doesn't care about you Rust State white voters who voted for Donald Trump. As far as he's concerned, you can drink glowing-in-the-dark toxic water. That's okay with Joe Biden. And Donald Trump went. And he met with people, and he listened to people, and he walked into the McDonald's. And he bought everybody there McDonald's, especially all the first responders in the Uvalde area. And he kidded around with the McDonald's crew at the counter and said, I bet I know this menu better than you do. And he probably does. He loves McDonald's. What endears Donald Trump to people, it's this charisma and the fact that he is this blue-collar billionaire, that he is more comfortable eating a slice of pizza and drinking a beer with one of his construction crews than he is going to a formal elite Hollywood dinner or a formal elite group of millionaire gazillionaires that are trying to figure out how they can rule the world and take over like a Klaus Schwab. Donald Trump is much more at home with people like you and me. And it's authentic. It's not put on. It's not packaged. He doesn't have a marketing media team telling him how to do that. It's who he is. And the fact that Ron DeSantis cannot do that, it means who he is what he is. He is the Trojan horse. He is the establishment's idea of how you fake a Donald Trump. He is the AI of conservatism. That is Ron DeSantis. He is the artificial intelligence of conservatism. He is not the real thing. You got to hear me on this. I mean, again, one of the things that you heard some of these things that are produced with AI, the voices, etc. Boy, they can get the right tone. Sometimes the cadence is off a little bit. But there's one thing that's always missing from AI. There's no soul there. There's no soul. And soul is where we have our emotions and our passions and this is real. Do you get any of that from Ron DeSantis? You get theatrics once in a while when he's talking tough about, we're not gonna let Facebook censor people who live in Florida. He can get a little snarky with the media when he's got his supporters standing around him. But that rollout the other night on Twitter, it wasn't just problematic because of the glitches. It was problematic because it was soulless. It was soulless. There was no real passion there. I told you about the congressman from Houston who was on with Tim Pool last night. He wondered out loud, does DeSantis even want to do this? He said, sometimes, he said, I look at him and he looks like a guy being held hostage, like there are people making him do this. Now, there's that possibility. I don't know that I'm there yet. I think Ron DeSantis is what he is. He's a deep state Trojan horse. He's ex-JAG, ex-military, on the side of the military that's not about, I'm a young patriot, so I joined the military because I love my country. He was part of that, military-industrial complex side of the military. And I don't know what they've got on this guy, but they got something on him, and he will march and do as he's told. That's Ron DeSantis. So he's trying to take on Donald Trump without taking on Donald Trump because he wants the Trump voters. And he knows that they love Donald Trump. But you saying that you're the winner and he's not? Dude, how many people have bet against this guy and he's still standing? Despite the indictments, despite, the 2 impeachments, despite everything, he's still standing, still fighting, still moving forward. And you are going to take him on. And the fact that you're supported by Jeb Bush tells me all I need to know. The fact that you let an Obama financial bundler, he is your main financial source. They were taking a victory lap the other night because Ron DeSantis, despite the glitches on Twitter, raised $8 million in 24 hours. Well, just like they lied when they said, we broke Twitter. This is the biggest amount of people that have ever tried to get on a platform online and it crashed. That's not what happened. Not what happened at all. I told you this. We've been through this. Other social media platforms have had as many as 4 million people streaming at one time and nothing crashed. And they had video with it. This was not just an audio side of Twitter. It was really crappy audio side of Twitter. Again, I manage a radio station and we stream. I understand a little something how the audio side of streaming works. And every couple of days, I have to go into the automation side of our software, and I have to tweak because the sound can get a little tinny. We call it tinny, a little hollow. We have to tweak it and make sure that it sounds good, sounds rich, sounds full. They did none of that to get ready for this at Twitter. Not to mention, when you listen to a lot of it, the echo and the feedback, that wasn't software issues. That was the bonehead sitting there. That was Elon Musk and the other clown stooges with him talking over the top of each other. It was what we call in IT a picnic error. Picnic, P-I-C-N-I-C, person in chair, not in computer. I mean, these guys it was just the rank amateur hour. And that was how Ron DeSantis launched his bid. And there's a part of it that's really condescending. Rather than own it, it had some issues. Oh, we broke the internet, or it was fine, you got all the DeSantis people, it was fine. Look, we raised $8 million in 24 hours. First of all, that $8 million was already pre-committed. See, as a pastor, I do know something about fundraising, and when you're fundraising for a specific project or cause, one of the things that you want to do when you're building an event that you've got people coming to and the idea is to raise money at that event for the cause, you want to know that when you walk into that event, in the back of your mind, you already know an amount of money that's already pre-committed, though the people there don't know what it is, because you're going to work that number in because that's how you build momentum and excitement. So he went into that knowing that he was going to get at least $7 million, $8 million was already pre-committed. Donald Trump, when he relaunched in 2020, $24 million in an hour. I'm sorry, in a day. 24 million. So Ron, you didn't do hot. You're not a winner. You're a Trojan horse. You're an illusion. You are AI of conservatism, period. These tepid little slaps you're taking at Trump, you understand he's coming out after you full throat, full force. The memes he's done against you, the mocking parody videos he's done against you, they are great. They are hitting and they are landing. And Donald Trump is going to do something this election cycle that has got the left scared. Number one, he is pulling in the black male vote. This congressman from Houston said last night, the Democrats are terrified. Donald Trump took 20% of the black male vote in 2020. They believe he's poised to take 50%. 50%. And as soon as Black women figure out that Donald Trump is, quote, not a racist. When you talk to black people on social issues, they're conservative. I'm telling you right now, Black America is not down with LGBTQ month coming up and Dylan Mulvaney and all of this social degradation. They're not down with it at all. They are anti all of this woke crapola. The Republicans have got to figure out a way to tap into that. Donald Trump has, and he will. And I know what the argument is going to be. Well, Ron DeSantis can draw those suburban moms back. If Donald Trump gets 50% of the black male vote, he won't need the suburban moms who get offended over everything. Literally get offended over everything. Donald Trump is going to bring in the black vote. And I'll say this and I'm done. The fact that I am watching a bunch of progressives and leftists online talking about things that Donald Trump has done. I mean, they talked for weeks about the CNN town hall and how he handled it, and they loved his answer. They all uniformly loved his answer on Ukraine. They're redistributing and sending out these memes that Donald Trump has done against Ron DeSantis. Donald Trump is going to unite some of these progressives on the left and say, you know what, I don't like all of Donald Trump's policies, but you know what? He will fight for our freedom. He will make sure that censorship stops. He will clean out some people in that swamp that have got to go. And he's not getting us involved in just endless wars all over the planet. I'm telling you, that's the other tier to this thing that even the Republican establishment has not factored in yet. So go ahead, Ron. You take your little victory lap. I'm a winner. I'm a winner. I'm a winner. You blew up on the launch pad just like an Elon Musk rocket. You just haven't figured it out yet.